Bryan Colter here, evolutionary astrologer, for another horoscope report for the upcoming Taurus lunar eclipse that happens on October 28th. And the energy of this event will ripple out over the next 6 months. And then in April 2024, we'll have another set of eclipses. So eclipse seasons are huge for humanity, and we'll often see world-changing events occur during these times. Of course, we're seeing that now. So we're going to dive fully into this. It's an intense one. Before we get to that, though, I have a big announcement. This weekend, starting on the eclipse, October 28th, but also on the 29th, I'll be teaching my Introduction to Evolutionary Astrology course. It'll be taught live on Zoom, and it starts both days at 8 a.m. Pacific time. It'll be on sale over the coming days until the start of the event. I'll put a link above if you're interested. And evolutionary astrology is a powerful tool. I'm sure there's many of you out there that have dabbled here and there with astrology. Obviously, you're interested in it, but I'm sure you've looked at your own charts to certain degrees. And at some point, you look at your chart and you kind of just go splat, because there's so much information. All these symbols in your chart are packed full of so much data. And how can you take this very complex cacophony of contradictive symbols and turn it into something reasonably coherent, something we can understand, that speaks so richly about your own personal journey? Knowing your own birth chart is priceless information, because not only can you learn about your own psyche, what it feels like to be you or another person if you're reading somebody else's chart, but you can also understand that person's gifts, like what is the gift they're meant to bring? What is their superpowers? What is their strong suits? And then also, what are some inherent challenges in the chart? The lifeblood of evolutionary astrology is the belief that we're all here to evolve, to learn, to grow. So the birth chart is simply a template of one's growth potential. So in this 10-hour course, I'll be guiding you through how to work with the biggest bottleneck in astrology, which are the 10 planets, the nodes of the moon, the 12 signs and the 12 houses, and the main angles and all these things and aspects. I mean, there's a lot to cover in 10 hours, but this will be a powerful introductory course to anybody who's interested in deepening their understanding of astrology from this more, let's say, psycho-spiritual approach that evolutionary astrology works with. So I hope to see you there if you're interested. Again, I'll put a link, above and below, and I'll see you this weekend, hopefully. With that being said, let's dive into the chart. So as I said at the beginning, this eclipse is very intense, partly because we're in the middle of Scorpio season. As you can see, Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, but most powerfully, we have the classical planetary ruler of Scorpio, Mars, right near the Sun and in its own sign. Whenever a planet's in its own sign, it is on steroids. And Mars, the war god in the sign of the Scorpion, does not need more steroids. So it is a very strong Mars. And the more modern rulership of Scorpio is Pluto. Pluto also quite powerfully placed because it's in a square aspect to what are called the nodes of the moon in the sky. I'm not going to say too much about this today because I talked about it extensively in the last video. You can check out that video where, during the solar eclipse, I talked about it a lot. But let's just say the god of hell brings about its own dose of intensity as well. This is a very charged set of energies. So Scorpio, known as the Scorpion. Imagine you were to see a literal scorpion or a poisonous snake or a black widow spider next to your foot or something like this, all those scary things. What do we do when we see it? Well, we jump back, because when we see it, we think pain and death, Now, Scorpio is not narrowly a reference to death, but it is about charged emotional material. It tends to be an emotionally turbulent sign. That can be one of the challenges of Scorpio. But one of the gifts of Scorpio is it's the most psychoanalytic sign in the zodiac. So for those of you who have strong Scorpios in your chart, and I'll talk about this during the class this weekend, one of your superpowers is you have the archetype of the psychologist. You look at things quite deeply. You also have the archetype of the shaman. This is a deeply transformational energy as well. But usually to get to that level of transformation, purification, regeneration in a more intense way, like the phoenix diving into the ashes to come up reborn, in order to get there, often it can be a pretty bumpy ride. It can be a pretty turbulent process, a very complex process. So, the Scorpio season, especially when it's aided and abetted by the ruler so strong, tends to bring out the scary. Just during Scorpio season, we have Halloween where people dress up in scary costumes, so it does bring out this intense side in humanity. But we know what's going on in the world. We know it's very intense. We know charged emotion is at peak now. We know fear and trauma and pain and hurt and rage and grief, all these charged emotions. The collective is feeling that at least above what is considered normal, because the planets, the way they're positioned and where they're at in the sky relative to our position here on Earth, is creating that intense energy. Now, it's not because the planets just want to be a pain in our butts. This is core to evolutionary astrology as well. Everything represents an evolutionary potential, no exceptions, a potential for growth. The phoenix diving into the ashes to come up reborn. The goal of transformation to a whole new level. So I want to stay positive and not be doom and gloom and keep our eye on the prize. What is the higher octave expression here? What is the universe trying to teach us, not only on a personal level, but us as a collective? Well, for this, we really want to explore, of course, this Taurus lunar eclipse, which is basically a supercharged full moon. And as I said at the beginning, these eclipses send out a 6-month ripple wave, and we want to be working with them in the best possible way. So, Taurus, and this is something I'll talk about in class. This is a fundamental principle in astrology. Opposite signs are opposite sides of the same coin. So actually, although they're very different in terms of how they navigate reality, they do have a lot in common. And with Scorpio-Taurus polarity, we have Scorpio, known as the great god of complexity, does tend to bring out the more complex sides of life. Conversely, Taurus is the great god of simplicity, and it's about ancient animal wisdom and instinctual behavior, and to lean into more simple side of life instead of psychoanalyzing everything and making things more complex than they really are. So here's a metaphor we can work with. Imagine you've had just a really crappy day, the kind of day we have, maybe once a year. When it rains, it pours. You have a nasty altercation with one of your coworkers at work, and maybe you run in with your boss as well, and you only had 4 hours sleep the night before. You get in a fender bender on the way home, and cops got involved, and you're just a mess. And your nervous system looks like a scared, triggered cat, everything on edge. And you do something really wise after this, something very Taurian. You go and get a 1-hour massage, one of the better massages you've had, when you just melt into the table. And then afterwards, you treat yourself to a wonderful meal. And then you get a beautiful night's rest. And that helps to relax the nervous system. Taurus is known as the animal spirit. It's known as the most sensual sign of the zodiac, so of the 5 senses. But it's ruled by Venus, the goddess of peace. So the evolutionary intention for the Taurus path is to feel more peace in your soul and feel more peace in your body in a world that feels like it's going overly complex, psychodramatic, a lot of fear and terror and rage, all these things. And there's good reason for the fear, of course. I'm not trying to downplay that, or it's not important to be aware of it going on. And, the dark side of Taurus could be denial, but I'm not so concerned about that. It's like, I'm more concerned about, okay, how can we help the fried nervous system of the collective? How can we create more peace within ourselves? How can we create more peace within the world? Let's be earthy, let's be grounded, let's be realistic, and let's heal. Let's put our peace foot forward in a world that's going through growing pains. And to help us out with this process, one of the most beautiful aspects in the sky during this eclipse is that it'll be happening right next to the planet Jupiter, known as the Greater Benefic, the planet of expansion, the planet of faith and optimism and generosity. There is another archetype which is utterly Jupiterian, and that's the archetype of Santa Claus. And Santa Claus merrily brings gifts to our doorstep. And the primary virtue of Santa Claus is generosity and a big-spiritedness. So a good evolutionary question to ask yourself during this eclipse and really the weeks and months afterwards is, how can I leverage this greater benefic energy to express more generosity into the world? Why? Because it's helpful not only to our own psyche and our own level of consciousness, so we don't get buried down in the undertow, the underworld of complexity, of fear, of grief, of trauma, all these very painful, stress-based emotions, and instead rise above that to this place of generosity, optimism, joy. Joy is inherently in the spirit of Jupiter. Again, not to be in denial of the bad things that are going on, but instead to rise above it. Jupiter, encouragingly, is always whispering in our ears, hey, you're a lot stronger than you think you are. There's more for you to give. There's other ways you can expand into life. You are worth it. Believe that you are worth it. And it's the planet of belief. It's the planet of faith. The evolutionary questions associated with Jupiter is, how am I underestimating myself? How am I settling for too little? How can I generate not only more faith in myself, but extend that magical energy out to other people, where when my optimistic energy, my joyous energy is placed upon them, my attention is placed upon them, it has a magical effect where it lifts the spirit of those other people. So it's the generosity of giving your faith to others after you've already increased the faith within yourself. The planet of generosity in the symbol of Taurus, the symbol of peace. So practicing generosity by spreading peace, being larger than the problems, the expression of your love-based consciousness, rising above the psychodrama and the temper tantrums of the little self, of the ego, the human personality, which is transient, which is finite, and recognizing, oh my God, I have faith in myself, but I have faith in a higher power. I'm a soul, an infinite soul in this finite experience, and I want to raise my consciousness and be this more expansive, optimistic, joyous energy of Jupiter, instead of getting sucked down into the underworld of the Scorpion. So this is how we find tension between these two symbols. Yes, complexity is part of life. It's very important to look deeply. This set of energies with Pluto here it has a strong, let's say, truth serum energy, truth coming to light about especially Pluto and Capricorn, the dark side of control, the dark side of ambition, the dark side of power. So truth coming to light, that truth serum we're getting an abundance of, and within that serum, sure, the truth is there, which is good, but there's also venom there. It's poisoning the minds of the collective. So how can we rise above, and how can we spread this more simple understanding of reality, where let's not over dramatize things, let's not over psychoanalyze these things, let's be reasonable, let's be practical, let's be grounded, and let's spread peace instead of fear and grief. Now, always with these lunar events, we want to consider the planet that rules that sign. I said before, it was Venus, the goddess of peace, but she's also the goddess of love. She's the relationship planet. She's in Virgo. She's in an opposition to Neptune here. Now, opposition's a tension-based aspect. It tends to be more challenging. We got a lot of squares and oppositions in the sky right now. So, Venus being the relationship planet, opposed Neptune can bring out a lot of challenges in relationships in the broad sense of that word. Many different relationships, not just romantic partnerships. But, challenges that are Neptunian nature, like the dark side of Neptune can be deception, can be disillusionment, can be mirages. This is kind of murky territory when we start talking about the challenges associated with Neptune. It can be confusion regarding your relationships. But again, everything represents an evolutionary opportunity. And the powerful way of working with Venus in aspect to Neptune, regardless of the aspect, because another thing I'll talk about in this upcoming class this weekend is all aspects are about integration. So Venus is trying to successfully integrate with Neptune. It's just because it's an opposition, it's a little bit more difficult and challenging. Hence why some of the darker potentials are more easily expressed in this archetypal field. But on the positive spectrum of things, and of course this will tie in directly to the larger framework of what we've already been talking about, is Venus, the goddess of love, is an expression of more human love. And the nature of human love, at least on one side of things, is it's very conditional. And actually, where Venus is in your chart speaks to where you can be practicing more discernment about who you partner with. And this is something I'll talk about in class too. It's like where Venus is in your chart, and this sounds a little counterintuitive, but where Venus is in your chart is, in part, it's about you rejecting people. Now that doesn't sound like Venus. Oh, the Venus wants to connect and build and maintain rapport with other people, the relationship planet. But it also says, okay, this is the type of people that are really good for you and the type of people who are not really good for you. So, that's part of life is rejecting people. It's like, okay, do I want to be with you? You, no, you, maybe, it's like there is this strategic elimination that's also associated with Venus, which a lot of people don't talk about. But it is fundamentally about conditional love and partnership and figuring out who's good for you and who's not good for you. And Venus in your own chart says a lot about that. But back to what I'm saying here, the conditional love planet, we could say, is opposed Neptune, which is the spiritual mystical planet, represents God consciousness, collective consciousness. It's more about, we could say, unconditional love, especially when it's in its own sign of Pisces. So we have the two love planets, Neptune, the unconditional love planet, Venus, the conditional love planet. Here they are opposed to each other. So how we integrate this is to somehow raise our capacity for unconditional love for others, regardless of how different they are from us, and regardless of what they've done with their lives and the decisions we've made. Getting to this higher Neptunian understanding of love that, again, we're all souls incarnate on this dense dimension of reality, planet Earth. We're doing the best that we can. We've, plunged ourselves into this realm of pain and suffering. We've come here completely forgetting who we are and our divine nature so that we can try to remember over and over and over again. Why? So we can learn, so we can grow and expand our consciousness. And this recognition that, oh my God, you're a soul in a human body, helps to at least begin that path towards forgiveness and understanding, no matter what their human personality in this human incarnation has done. And, here Venus is in Virgo, the sign of the perfectionist, but it's also the symbol of humility. So practicing humility about one's judgments regarding others to generate more love, loving connection between you and other people. And yes, it's the symbol of perfection, but there's also this realization that we're all imperfect beings, at least when we're incarnated in the human personality. When the soul starts to blend with the human ego and this illusion of separateness and I, me, we get to this place of imperfection. So we come from perfection, we enter into this realm imperfect. So this humble recognition that we're all imperfect, and let's generate this let's say, higher consciousness understanding of our predicament here. But it's hard. It's hard. There's the tension and the opposition. And this too will help to spread the generosity of peace, reasonableness, groundedness, faith in ourselves, faith in other people, lift people up instead of tearing them down, practice generosity. So why? So we can expand our consciousness. These are the core evolutionary intentions with that goal in mind. Now we pivot to the meditation. I call this, in honor of King Jupiter, known as the King of the Gods, I call this the meditation of kings, where in the meditation we visualize sending blessings to others in the spirit of generosity. Please use headphones for best results. Enjoy. Let's begin by focusing on your breath. And slowly inhale through your nose deep into your belly, and then feel your lungs expand. And then exhale from your belly first. Always belly first. Deep, rhythmic, comfortable breathing. And make the in-breath and the out-breath as long as you can that's comfortable for you. And match the length of time of the in-breath perfectly with the out-breath. In, out. And we're going to start by doing a focus technique that will sink you into a deep meditative state. And bring your conscious awareness all the way down to your left toes. Feel all of the toes in your left foot. Feel like you're in your toes of your left foot. And this is a little bit harder, but try to feel the toenails of your left foot. And focus on them entirely. And now move your awareness up through the balls of your left foot and spread into the center of your left foot, in the back of the left foot, up into the ankle, up through the calf muscle and the shins, into your left knee, and now your left thigh, and feel all the tissues of your left thigh soften and let go. And now up into your left hip, and now focus on your entire left leg. Now move your attention to all of your right toes. And feel like you're in the toes of your right foot. Now feel the toenails of your right foot. And slowly move up into the right foot. Now up into the right ankle. up through the right calf and shins, the right knee, and slowly melt into your right thigh. The right hip now. And now feel the entirety of your right leg. Now feel both legs at the same time. Now bring your awareness to your pelvic floor. And the tailbone. Now up into your lower back. If you feel any tension in your lower back, just breathe into it. Feel the tissues let go and relax. Now up into the middle back, up into the upper back, scapula, the vertebrae of the upper back, the shoulders. Now go up and over your shoulders, down past your clavicle, and into the chest area. Feel the tissues of your chest expand as you inhale. Now feel the heart. And see if you can feel your heartbeat. It's very subtle. Connect with the pulse of life. Down through towards your stomach and solar plexus. Feel all the organs in the stomach area, the spleen, the liver, the intestines, the gallbladder. On your next inhale, your awareness goes up again through the chest area and over to the right shoulder. And the right upper arm, right elbow, right forearm, right wrist, and the right hand. The right fingers and fingertips, and feel the fingernails of your right hand. Now up through the right arm and across your chest over to the left shoulder. Down through the upper arm of the left arm, left elbow, left forearm, left wrist, left hand, left fingers, left fingernails. On the next inhale, raise your awareness up through your left arm into your neck area and feel the front of your neck and resist the urge to swallow. Just stay present with all the muscles and tissues of the front of your neck. Now wrap around the back of the neck, up into the back of the skull. Feel both of your ears, up to the top of your head, and down through the forehead. Feels nice and warm. And your eyebrows, eyelashes, eyelids, and your eyes. Feel the bundle of nerves that goes from your eyes to the center of your brain. Feel those nerves relax. Down through your nose, your upper lip, your cheeks, your chin, your lower lip, your mouth, and your tongue. On the next inhale, expand your awareness to your entire body and feel your entire body at once. I want you to visualize yourself as a perfect yogi, seated on a hilltop, beautiful nature all around you. And feel your heart overflowing with love. And you look down the hill and you see a very long line of people coming towards you. And these people are bringing their need for your exclusive love. People who are wounded by the trials and tribulations of life. The souls at the beginning of the line are people closest to you. They are your close and extended family. And also those who have passed on. They may still carry some resentment towards you, and you may still hold some grievances against them. This is a moment destined for forgiveness. Allow each one of your relatives to approach. And this is a process of breathing in the sorrow, transmuting it into love, and breathing out joy. As the first relative comes to you, breathe in all their negativity, breathe in any grudges that you may have as well, and let it be illuminated inside your heart of infinite tenderness, and breathe out pure light and blessings. And as you do this, internally chant this prayer: God, awaken. God, awaken in me. Awaken in my fellow brother and sister. Let's end the play of suffering and bring light to the play of joy. And you pray sincerely for your relative, this being in front of you that needs so much love and attention in this very moment, and pray for the divinity that lives inside him or her but is still asleep. It's enveloped by the veil of illusion that makes him or her feel deficient. And believe that they're only a single drop of water instead of the ocean itself. And with the deepest humility that you can manifest in this moment, lift your gaze beyond the clouds, beyond the veils of illusion, and invoke the divine being in each and every person who approaches you. Awaken, God, awaken, wake up. And you breathe in the negativity. It gets transformed by the light of the prayer inside your heart. And you breathe out light and the fragrance of roses. And one by one, the souls continue to come to you, and you share your love and your blessings. You'll recognize many of them, and some you won't recognize. It makes no difference. Bring in friends, relatives, even enemies. Because in this moment, all labels fall away. Leave no one out. Bring them in. Bring into your healing presence anyone with whom you feel you have unfinished business. And maintain this visualization and giving of your love for a couple more minutes, and then I'll return. feel love and happiness flowing through you as it's transmitted to these souls. You are an ever-flowing source of love. You are the blessed heir of eternal glory and universal treasure. You are a soul incarnate. You are love itself. Remember this truth and allow yourself to be an instrument of divine love. You're inhaling the sorrows of the world, transmuting it through your sheer life force and soul energy, and exhaling the purest joy. Now return your awareness back to your body. Feel as though you're in your entire body, and see a luminous electric blue light radiating throughout your entire body and shining in all directions simultaneously. If you practice this meditation regularly, it has the power to change your life and in turn, change the lives of others.